Hello, I am Centimus Prime, and here I will be unboxing the LEGO Creator set number 31159, the Surprising Spider? Wait a minute, is that what it says? Surprising Spider? Okay, that's odd, but alright. Alright, take a look at the box itself. Here we have like a nice shot of the set itself, as well as the alternate builds here off to the side, because it is one of those 3-in-1s kind of sets. The background is very basic, not going to touch on that really. LEGO logo, creator logo, and then here we also have the recommended age, the set number, the name of the set, and the number of pieces used to build the set. Here we have a look at the top with our 3 various builds, as well as a 1-to-1 scaled image of one of the more prominent, one of the more prominent pieces of the set, that being this larger tooth piece. This tooth piece. Here's a look at this side, not much to talk about here. Here's a look at the bottom side, not much to talk about here. And then a look at this side, which we have like the shot of the front of the build from the front, but aside from that, not much to talk about here. And then we have a look at the back here, which we do get like alternate shots of each of the 3 builds, as well as like designated little backgrounds for them, which admittedly they all look pretty basic, very geometric. And then a little like a gimmick image here showing off one of the gimmicks in this set, and then a little push thumb tap thing. So with that, let's go ahead and get this open. So let's go ahead and make sure this is opened in a more elegant fashion. I say that as I proceed to basically rip the box open. Alright, and that's everything from that box, so let's close that up, set that off to the side. And this is basically everything in the box. It just done up in like, I actually like this. It's actually kind of compact. I like how compact this feels. Like, you can tell that like they didn't really waste a whole lot of space in here. They didn't really waste any space in here, like aside from like a little bit up here, but that's fine. That's fascinating. I like that. So here's what's included in the box. We'll take a look at these, but let's talk about the instructions first. So we have 3 separate booklets of instructions. We have 3 separate instructions, one for each build. We'll take a look at the spider one first, since that is like the most prominent one. Let's look at the front. Not a whole lot going on here. It does give you like a description of like what's going on with the packaging. And then it gets into the build. Here's a look at the back. It says you could win. Yes, I could. Back here we also have a parts list. We also have some cross advertising for a few other LEGO Creator 3-in-1 sets. And then it's just the build from there. Let's take a look at the other instructions, like Snake. Starts off with the build. Here's a look at the back. Basically, giraffe, pig with long legs. And then yeah, let's just build from there. And then for the scorpion one, gets on with the build. Here's a look at the back. It says rebuild the world. We have lots of birdies as using these chima. We're using these chima eagle wings, as well as this hippo, which uses more of the chima wings, but like connected with other pieces. It's a giant hippo with wings, and then it's just a build from there. The spider instructions have like has like all like the interesting details, I guess. But that's it for the instructions. Now let's get on. Now let's actually take a look at the parts. And they're in this paper-like packaging. They're in these little paper baggies. That is interesting. So yeah, it's basically shows you that it opens up like that. And yeah, then we can set that off to the side to toss later. And then here we have the parts included in the larger of the two bags included. Something that's immediately jumping out to me is this. Like we have like a few little pieces in this relatively new color. So this is a fascinating kind of color because this is like that. This is basically just like a solid like variant of that, like of that like neon yellowish, like greenish yellow color. Like Lego used to make this color in like maybe like a translucent variant of this piece for a really long time, but in more recent times they kind of stopped producing that color in favor of this more solid variant of that color. So I am glad to see that at the very least we aren't completely without this color. It's just a different take on it, I guess. It's just a more solid take on it. So we have a few parts in that color. We have this piece and a few little 1x2s. We also have some red pieces. So yeah, we have a few little red pieces. Some red little half Technic bushing. We got a couple of these Technic little half bushings in the yellow. We also have this sort of base sort of piece, a couple of these round plates. I got like this piece with like the Technic holes through it, and a lot of hinge pieces, a lot of these clip and hinge pieces, which makes sense considering what the set is. We also got like some brackets and snap bricks and stuff. So there's a little Nexonite like shield tile in black. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff like that with an interesting little highlight. And then yeah, little like small things here and there. So let's go ahead and get into the other bag. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Do we have everything here? Yeah, let's set this off to the side. Immediately something that stands out, yeah, again, is the color. Look at this. We have so many. Like, we had a few in the other bag, but Like, this one has so many of... Like, look at that. Well, let's just pick out the pieces real quick. Look at that. We have like a few of these like cheese wedge slope pieces in this color, but also a bunch of these one by one like rounded tile piece. We got a bunch of those in this color too. So there's basically our neon highlighter color. That is fascinating. That is, gosh, so many of those. Another thing that stands out is this. It's a little string thing with a couple studs at the end. Stud connections at the end. And it's a little piece of tape. Yeah, like a little piece of tape holding this together. How does this... That's a little Technic gear. How do I get this undone is the question. Do I try to get undone enough so that I can pull this through? That is... Opening this is proven to be... It's kind of proving itself to be not the easiest thing in the world. Whoops. Well, how do you get this undone? Now, how do you get this undone? Like, it's just a stretchy piece of tape already that's already tethering the rope because of how ridiculous this is. Alright, we got it undone. Whew. That is very difficult. If you're... You know, like, if you're like I guess a younger kid who's like watching this to see if they want this set, I do recommend like some an adult to definitely help out with at least getting this undone. Unfortunately, did tether this end up a tiny bit, but it should be fine. Do get a decent length for it, though. And there's like an idea of how this piece was done. They seem to have molded these ends over the ends of this whole string. The string itself appears to be done in that same neon highlighter color as, or at least similar enough to like what we see in the pieces. So that's nice. We also got some of these. Which is like these little like tooth pieces in this spring green color, ghostly spring green color. We also got a bunch of pieces in red, including a few tiny little brackets, which is nice. Ooh, haven't seen these before. It's like a little Technic, like pin bushings, like a little Technic pin bushing piece in red. Got at least a couple of those. Oh, we have like three of, I think, I think three of this piece in red. That's nice. Lots of tiles and stuff. We got like both variants of this piece. The both left and right variants of this in red. And then yeah, just a bunch. Yeah, like at least a couple of these squared off 1x1 tile pieces in red, and then a bunch of these ones with the rounded edge. Got a bunch of those too. We got like a boat piece where it's smooth at the bottom, a couple more brackets. We got some more hinge pieces. We got a bunch of this piece in black. Got a bunch of this piece in black. And then aside from that, like we got like a couple of these pieces in white. Then everything else is just like stuff we've seen before. Oh wait. We got 3 of these in this. Yeah, we got 3. We got like 3. This like sort of like wedge piece, like sort of house roof shaped. That looks neat. I like that. I like that's a nice piece. Got 3 of those in the dark bluish gray. And then with that is all the parts included in this set. We got a lot of like small pieces like this. Like we got a lot of like we also got like a good amount of like hinge like pieces. We also got like a fascinating like string piece, as well as a good amount of parts in, as well as like a good amount, like a fascinating amount of like small little detail pieces in this bright color, this bright highlighter color. So admittedly, a pretty good parts pack if you want like some hinge pieces, some parts in this color, some parts in red. You want to like collect up more of these string pieces. Admittedly, I find this to be a nice little parts pack if you want like these kind of pieces. But I will of course like do videos where do like at least like some videos where I like to put like the set together and take a look at the various builds for the set. And I'll definitely let you know my thoughts then of the sets and each of its builds. But until then, I think that'll be it for this unboxing. If you enjoyed this video, consider to like and subscribe and maybe even comment if you want. And of course, I will be posting again sooner or later.